the second race of a championship that was run yesterday as well. Chrissy Rouse with a 66-point lead in the championship would love to wrap it up today. Freddie Pett in second place, Phil Atkinson in third, and Aulish Aulestia in fourth place, ahead of Charlie King, Dan Hellier, Scott Pitchers, Dan Fuller, Luke Shelley and Tom Oliver. And the starting grid has the young Spaniard Aulish Aulestia on pole position, the 22-year-old from Barcelona, ahead of Freddie Pett and Chrissy Rouse. The second row of the grid headed by Sam Cox from Dan Hellier and Tom Ward. Philip Atkinson on row 3 ahead of Scott Pitchers and Tom Oliver. Row 4, Sam Middlemass, Charlie King and Dan Fuller. So preparing to go with the Triumph Triple Challenge, the second race of the weekend. And yesterday's race, a rousing one, won by Chrissy Rouse, just from Alex Aulisha, with Freddie Pett in third place. And the Spaniard starts from pole position this time out, with Freddie Pett and Chrissy Rouse on the blue bike on the left side of picture there, on the front row of the grid. So a very, very packed grid for the Triumph Triple Challenge here. The penultimate race of the afternoon. And all the front row get pretty good starts as they head down towards Copse Corner. And I think number 91, Aulisha, might have made the initial dash to the front as they go storming out of Copse Corner. He's grabbed the advantage, good and proper. He's been threatening a race win for a while, this kid. And it looks that he has, a biggie pardon, he did have one at Snetterton when we had 3 races across that weekend, looking for a second one here. Whoops-a-daisy, that was a weird move by Philip Atkinson. Shot himself to second place and back to third in a matter of moments.
Yeah, really, we've got to watch where Christian...
Oh, we got a fall as someone's crashed out.
Yeah, and taking 2 or 3 riders with him as well.
Exiting, it's strange how we've had a few crashes. Once you get one, you seem to get a few in the same place, coming out of the complex there, the Chapel Curve, and onto the Hanger Straight.
3 riders involved there, Jack. One of them's definitely made it back to the track. 2 haven't. Look, there you see.
If that's Charlie King, he's already riding into it, of course, after crashing at the last round.
I've got a sneaky feeling it is one of those riders is Charlie King.
Oh, and another one going down and fetching off somebody else. Good heavens, boys. It's all going to pot here on the opening lap of the Triumph. These boys have obviously been waiting too long to get their races in, and it's no good blaming the boy in green, young man. I'm afraid you went down first. So the marshals come out to try and sort
somebody else.
And there's another one going down.
That could be is that the leader? Is that Alex Celeste? That's a leader.
And that could be Aulisha, who's gone out, and it leaves Philip Atkinson at the front, and Chrissy Rouse running in third place.
Yeah, it's Chrissy Rouse we've got to watch, and he's what he's doing on track with Freddie Pett, because 66 points. Rouse leads the championship, but remember they've got 3 races down at Brands Hatch.
I didn't know they had 3 of them.
Yes, I think
they got 75 points up for grabs then. So in fact, Freddie Pett wants to stay ahead of Rouse to keep this championship alive for himself.
Correct.
So Atkinson leads with that distinctive South African helmet ahead of Freddie Pett and Chrissy Rouse. And this an acutely decimated field after that.
Not half.
We're on the first lap of 8. Simmer down, boys, simmer down as we cross the line then. The front 3 breaking clear. Atkinson, Pett, Rouse, Sam Cox, Charlie King still in there. He's in his place, number 76, that familiar figure of the young East Anglian.
Yeah, look. Back of the short, big high side, 2 riders taken with him. One actually runs into and clips the bike and goes down on the grass, I think. The other one made it back onto the track. Second crash.
Whoops-a-daisy.
Yeah, well, actually, you know, that they'd had a set 2 before. I couldn't really call whose fault that was. Yeah. Oh, and this is a Leicester.
Oh, look at that. The young man from Barcelona comes from the same... The next village to Danny Pedrosa, and the same village as Ewan Lescourse and Ruben Joust, but it's done him no good there. And look at this, Chrissy Rouse has stormed to the front, has overtaken both Pett and Atkinson on the run down to Stowe Corner. So Rouse, number 66, number 55, I beg your pardon, on the blue bike, trying to stick another race win in and open up an even more convincing lead in the championship here at Silverstone. Won yesterday's race after a storming contest with our Spanish visitor. And at the moment, he's got the advantage over Freddie Pett, number 66. Chrissy Rouse then leads the way. Philip Atkinson is running in third place. Number 66, Freddie Pett, just turned 22 years old, from Kings Lynn in Norfolk, running there on the black and white bike in second place. And Atkinson, that distinctive helmet. Number 31, Cox, is the next man up.
Yeah, your fallers were Sam Middlemass, also Jesse James Jones and Luke Shelley. They were your fallers on the first lap.
Meanwhile, number 55 leading the way, Chrissy Rouse from just outside Newcastle upon Tyne on the Stratstone Racing Triumph. His big sister's come to watch him race this weekend for the first time in a couple of years, and he said half his village are here as well to support him.
Well, it's working.
It certainly is, isn't it? Chrissy Rouse, I think it's a place called Burnetfield he comes from, just outside Newcastle. Anyway, Chrissy Rouse enjoying plenty of support from back home in the northeast this weekend. Leads Pett and Atkinson. Cox fourth, Charlie King and Dan Hellier round out the top six out of Scott Pitchers, Tom Oliver and Tom Ward. And Freddie Pett looks very, very keen to find a way past the crouching figure of the leader, Chrissy Rouse.
Yeah, because he's got to keep his championship alive. He knows that finishing anywhere behind Chrissy Rouse is going to almost seal the championship.
So the standings at the moment would look a bit like this, with Chrissy Rouse on 234 points if he wins this race, ahead of Pett on 163, 10 ahead of Atkinson on 153. So Freddie Pett trying to make a move into stall corner, but he needs to be a bit more convincing than that, shall we say, to make it stick against the Geordie boy. And as they storm through the Vale and fan out, Chrissy Rouse still has the advantage. Whoops!
Watch Hellier. that was Hellier getting it all upside down, going, trying to get it up the inside of Charlie King going into Vale.
Yeah, that was Dan Hellier from Helsham on the Littlewood Racing Jack Lilly Triumph. Jack Lilly, now there's a name from the past where triumphs are concerned.
Yeah.
And he's running in sixth place at the moment, behind the custard yellow bike of Charlie King, number 76. There's Hellier.
Yep, fastest lap, last lap though, fastest lap of the race so far.
From Dan Hellier, Freddie Pett moves through those big swooping lines of Chrissy Rouse's, give him the opportunity to squeeze through on the inside.
Yeah, but if Rouse can get the run, he's been held up a little bit by Pett there, because I think Rouse a bit, oh, there you go, not held up that much.
I know, he just took aim, laid it down and wound on the power. So Rouse, Pett, Atkinson at the front, Sam Cox, Charlie King, Dan Hellier, the top six. Then there's a gap back to Scott Pitchers and Tom Oliver. We're on the third lap of 8 here in the Triumph Triple Challenge, second race of the weekend here at Silverstone. And Charlie still holds the Chrissy Rouse still holds the advantage. Pett, Atkinson, Cox, King, Hellier as they storm round to complete their third lap. This is Sam Cox is riding really strongly here. I haven't seen him really push his way into the top three before. So number 31, Sam Cox, the Londoner on the Sam Cox Racing Triumph, is right there now, running in third place and looking like he would threaten the leaders. So Cox now is up to third place. Squeezed Atkinson back to fourth. Philip Atkinson, most experienced man in this championship, has been contesting it for several years. Nice to see Fro Systems involved there on the side of Sam Cox's fairing as they charge down the Hanger Straight.
Yeah, and it depends what your aspirations are in the sport. If you've decided you're doing it for fun and you're never going to be a world champion, well, it's a brilliant class because the bikes are pretty similar. It's not an expensive class to run in. The tyres are all exactly the same, and it's down to the rider, as most single-make championships are. And these bikes are really nice to ride. They're not a bike that's a chore, they handle really well, lovely front end, you feel quite confident on the straightaway, most riders do anyway, and not difficult to set up. It's a good class if you just want to enjoy your racing. I'm sure some of these lads like Chrissy Rouse would think that they've got aspirations within the sport that they can go into a world championship level, but I'm sure some haven't as well, and it's a brilliant class to ride.
So what I like is you get that mixture of people involved, as you say, from different reasons. As Freddie Pett once again just neatly tucks underneath Chrissy Rouse as this drop in towards the complex.
Yep.
But what he has to do now is find a way of defending himself as he goes into Aintree ahead of the crouching
he has this time.
Chris. He has. Good to see Charlie King back on it, because that was a nasty accident he had a couple of rounds ago, but he's now back properly in the midst of the action, running in 5th place.
Yeah, East Anglian lad. Mum and Dad used to come and watch racing when he was a kid. He's actually showed me pictures of him as a baby with his mum and dad getting an autograph off me with my racing days in BSB, and I didn't thank him for that at all, and I felt about 75 when I walked away. Thanks, Charlie.
He's very young, James.
Yeah, thanks.
He wouldn't have been a baby that long ago.
No, that's what I keep telling myself.
Charlie King, who's scarcely turned 17.
Lovely lad as well. Real smile on his face, and for me, he's in racing for the right reasons. Good, nice fella.
So that distinctive custard yellow Pressure Integrity Racing 675, they're running now in 4th place as Chrissy Rouse regroups and looks to find a way back past Freddie Pett. We've just passed half distance onto the 5th lap of 8, with Sam Cox still running really sprightly there in 3rd place on bike number 31.
I don't know what's happened to my old mate Bob Collins, but he's not. I don't think he even started the race. Bob, good old mate of mine, runs a tyre shop down in London. Don't see him that often. I've seen him this weekend. Good bloke, although not good. No, I don't think he's out there.
As they go swooping once again through Stowe Corner, all the triumphs so evenly matched. Chrissy takes a very quick look over his left shoulder then, but he just might want to be careful, because it cost him a moment as he looked over his left shoulder. Sam Cox stole up on his right and nicked that second. Yeah.
Yep, that's what he did. He nicked it. Yeah, like you say, all these bikes should be fairly evenly matched. They're all pretty much straight out the box, apart from the input the riders had to the sort of handling and chassis, which again is limited as to what you can do anyway. So they should be all evenly matched. Certainly on power, about 120 brake horsepower, all fairly stock Triumph 675 triples.
It's intriguing to see a new face running at the front. The little figure of Sam Cox there, the little Londoner, running number 31, the black bike in 2nd place. That's impressive. Now ahead of the championship leader, Chrissy Rouse. Chrissy needs to regroup and do something about this.
Yeah, and you know what, one of the good things about almost every class at BSB level, it's not just about people from London, and we've got Newcastle in the case of Chrissy Rouse, all over the country, Scots people, Irish people, they're all over the world. We've got, you know, Spaniards in there, just about every class, Italians, Australians, it's seen as a brilliant sort of breeding ground for springboarding yourself into some European racing for a lot of countries now, is BSB.
And even Americans, some of them very young.
Yeah.
As we want to look at this line of riders as they come storming round now. They'll be starting to cross the finishing line now. Look at the line of them. Pett, Cox, Rouse, King, Hellier, Atkinson, Pitchers, Oliver, fast as that. In fact, those first 7 separated by 1.5 seconds. Fastest man on track was the 7th of them, Scott Pitchers. Yeah. 2 minutes, 15.723 seconds. And a lap record for Scott Pitchers, riding number 111 from Lower Compton on the Team SP Racing Triumph, is 7th place, and yet he's set a lap record there he is at the back.
He set a lap record catching this group, and I don't think he's going to set another one so quick, because he has got traffic to deal with where he didn't have before. He just had a sort of hare to chase.
Storming down the back straight, the hanger straight now. Of course, remember that the prize that you can get for winning this championship, as we see Sam Cox think about finding a way through Freddie Pett there, is a ride with bike and provided in the British Supersport Championship, which of course is what Rob Guyver got through victory in the championship overall last year. Yeah, and he's improved steadily as the season has gone on.
Yeah, and that is some character, some of these boys, I'll tell you. You know, he's a big, you know, it's a big carrot when the racing's, even at this class, which is one of the cheaper classes to run in, because the bikes are all the same and you don't have to spend money on a lot of tuning and special parts. It's still a good thing to have a bike provided for the following year.
The 6th lap of 8, and Freddie Pett still leads the way with Sam Cox in 2nd place. Chrissy Rouse looking to wrap up the championship. Charlie King there defending 4th place against Hellier and Atkinson.
Yep.
Philip Atkinson, 30 years old now, the man from KwaZulu-Natal near Durban, turned on the 21st day, in fact the what would I call it, Midsummer's Day, he turned 30, Phil Atkinson, but he's got dropped by the young'uns now as we see Chrissy Rouse, lunge into 2nd, but not for long.
Nah, couldn't get it stopped. And if you saw Freddie Pett there, he knew what was going on there. He knew just to let him go past, because he wasn't going to make the corner. Pett just tucked up the inside, knowing that Rouse was going to run wide.
So Pet 66, Cox 31, Rouse 55 on the distinctive powder blue Stratton racing bike as they cross the line now and head once again to Copse Corner under the 7th of 8 laps. This is the penultimate lap. Charlie King loses out there to Dan Hellier across the line. He's got a bit of work to do to try and get back in.
Rouse with a lap record last lap before that mistake.
2 minutes 15.539.
And he's bang on it again now.
And
Rouse on in second.
Chrissy kind of wound up to a bit of a climax in yesterday's race, you know. It's interesting to see. He said he'd got the springs 4.5 because they'd had a wet session to kick off with and never really got too much setup time. He ended up running a bit too soft front and back yesterday, and he was going to kind of toughen things up for this race and felt he'd be able to run a bit more strongly. Well, here's his chance to prove the point, but at the moment Freddie Pett just has the advantage on him.
Lap and a half to go.
Freddie Pett, number 66, has been his race number for the last dozen years, the 21-year-old from Kings Lynn. He's 6'4" tall, you know, Freddie Pett. He tucks in well onto the little Triumph.
Yeah, Rouse is a big lad as well, a kind of lanky lad. He gets really tucked in. They have to make a massive effort. Frontal area on these Triumphs is really small because they're a three-cylinder. The engine's a tiny engine. They ain't got 4 cylinders across the frames, it's just got 3, and that makes them getting on for about 6 inches narrower. So you've got to make more effort to get tucked in.
So the leader, number 66, Freddie Pett, parts and service manager at C&A Superbikes Limited. Nice, it's great that these lads have proper jobs and earn a proper living.
Anybody who wears a smock to work, you know, works hard. Smock.
Does he wear a smock?
I'm thinking smock. If he works behind the space counter of a bike shop, he needs a smock if not.
He was back in 2008. He was the Derby Phoenix Formula 400
good club
novice champion.
Cracking club, it really is. Still is to this day. One of the first clubs I joined was Derby Phoenix.
And he's running really well at the front here, and looks like, oh, look at that extreme style of Great Yarmouth's Charlie King there, fighting with Dan Hellier for 4th place. And they're having a great scrap, aren't they? As they storm across the line, Freddie Pett, Chrissy Rouse, Sam Cox leading the Cup runners ahead of Hellier, King, Pitchers. Philip Atkinson now forced back to 7th place ahead of Tom Oliver, Dan Fuller, and Michael Corbino, the American rider, running in 10th place.
Last lap now.
And this is it. This is when you'll notice, strangely enough, Chrissy Rouse begins to wind up at this point, and the gap begins to shrink as he prepares to launch an assault. Has he left it too late? Can he just haul Freddie Pett back in?
No, I think it's going to be one of them where he gets one chance at it. It's whether he wants to take it, leading the championship. It is Pett the leader, and he's going to have a go, obviously, just to prove me wrong.
He was tucked well in, and that looked a determined piece of slipstreaming down the hanger straight.
It
Into
was.
Stowe corner flies Chrissy Rouse.
And Pett really needs to beat Rouse, and he knows that, to keep his championship, even a slim chance of winning the championship.
Well, Freddie with a lot of work to do. Freddie was kart racing originally up until he was 14 years old before he took to 2 wheels. He's still there, right behind Chrissy Rouse on the final lap. Rouse, though, that purposeful style as he storms down the new start and finish straight on the far side of the track. And then the big sweeping section through Abbey Curve and Farm. They're on the final lap of the Triumph Triple Challenge, 2nd race of the weekend. Chrissy Rouse looking to do the double. It was a white machine that was pestering him yesterday in the hands of Al Leisture, the Spaniard. This time it's Freddie Pett, bike 66.
Yeah, Rouse defending a little bit. What Freddie Pett needs to do now is get it wound up from here, get a good run through Wellington and onto the straight.
Rouse loves those wide sweeping lines. That would give him the opportunity to perhaps tuck under. Chrissy heads for the outside line, but Freddie just can't quite get himself inside. Charlie King can. He was going for a
Rouse
big
has gone
move
wide. Rouse has gone really wide.
He pulls it back again. Just lost his grip a bit momentarily there going into Brooklyn.
He's got enough though.
But it looks as if the 17-year-old is going to take victory as he storms through into, mind you, we thought that in the British Superbike race, and it wasn't. As he storms out of Woodcote now, yes, it's the double for Chrissy Rouse ahead of Freddie Pett. A great 3rd place for Dan Hellier ahead of Charlie King and Sam Cox, who gets squeezed out on the last lap to 5th. Scott Pitchers in 6th ahead of Phil Atkinson and Tom Oliver. So that was a pretty. There's Michael Corbino riding bike number 15. The American was running a top 10 He's ahead of Burdett, number 33, and I think the white bike is going to cling on to that 10th place behind Tom Oliver and Dan Fuller. Chrissy Rouse, though, has taken his second victory of the weekend. And, well, I've lost count of how many race wins he's had during the course of the season. 8. And he is the Triumph Triple Challenge champion. James, I didn't think there were 3 races at Brands Hatch, but well, it could be that they're not, because he is now crowned champion.
Well, clearly there isn't, if he's won the championship. And I apologise for telling you there was.
So Chrissy Rouse, through taking that race win, has done enough to clinch the championship in front of half his village from the County Durham, and in front of his big sister for the first time in a couple of years. Everybody congratulates the popular Geordie boy. He's taken victory, the double victory he needed to clinch the championship before he got to Brands Hatch. The lad who's studying maths with mechanics, physics and economics at the Manual College in Gateshead.
Yeah, this Triumph Triple Challenge, there's a bit of a camaraderie between the riders, because a lot of them work out of a tent. You don't have to have your own awning and setup. You can use the sort of joint communal Triumph Triple tent, and there's drinks on there. Then the Ace Cafe puts a little bit of hospitality on there for them, and so there is a real camaraderie between them.
Yeah, they had that number 1 sticker pretty smartly prepared, didn't they? Someone slapped that on rather tidily.
Yeah, to a halt. Sometimes when championships aren't won when they're expected, there's cheap T-shirts about, when somebody's jumped the gun and they don't win it.
So great ride by Chrissy Rouse. He does exactly what he needed to do, get the better of Freddie Pett and take the championship 1 round early. Rouse wins it by 0.13 of a second from Freddie Pett. Dan Hellier snatches 3rd place to his joy from Charlie King and Sam Cox. Scott Pitchers in 6th place ahead of Philip Atkinson, Tom Oliver, Dan Fuller and Michael Corbino. 11th place for Burdett ahead of Little, Hill, Niblett and Taryn Skinner, with the men outside the points: Hayward, Wood, Steadman, Brown and Taylor. So the championship standings, with Chrissy Rouse, number 55, crowned champion with a 71-point advantage over Freddie Pett. Philip Atkinson in 3rd place ahead of Alicia, who will come out fighting again at Brands Hatch. Charlie King in 5th ahead of Dan Hellier, Scott Pitchers, Dan Fuller, Tom Oliver, and in 10th place now Sam Cox ahead of Luke Shelley, who was one of the fallers early on in that race. Jesse James Jones, who also went down early in that race. Sam Middlemass, I think he was a faller early in that race as well. Tom Hayward, Michael Corbino 15th ahead of Taylor, Little, Beardsley, Alistair Fagan and Ben Miller. So let's take a look at how that race worked its way out. Chrissy Rouse starting from 3rd place on the grid. Good start off pole position from Alicia. He looked like he had that pretty much sorted out. He really took an early lead, pounced to the front, but the young man from just outside Barcelona was leading the way down the Hanger Straight as a bit of mayhem struck coming out of Chapel Curve in the background. And that wasn't the only bit, because look at this, we had a couple of lads bouncing and ping-ponging off one another. That fetched a 3rd rider down, and then a 4th rider went down, and that was Alicia, who was leading the way at that point. He crashed out and left the race open for Pett and the rest to tackle. Freddie Pett, the 6'4" lad from Kings Lynn in Norfolk, led the way. Chrissy Rouse barged his way through into 2nd place past Sam Cox. And then during the closing stages, he set his sights on trying to get the better of Freddie Pett, knowing that Pett was his only potential championship challenger with 2 more races to go at Brands Hatch in a fortnight's time. He slipstreamed his way down the Hanger Straight, dived the blue Triumph through into Stowe Corner and had the lead. At that point, that would mean he could be crowned champion right here today, as we've got a huge speed wobble down through Vale for Freddie Pett. Caused him to back off a bit there. And Chrissy Rouse had done enough as they came piling through Woodcote. Rouse took the race victory from Freddie Pett, and overjoyed Chrissy Rouse wins the race and is crowned Triumph Triple Champion 2013. Great result there for Chrissy Rouse. He can enjoy, he comes, as I mentioned, from Burnett Field near Newcastle on Tyne, turned 17 on the turned 17 on the 10th of October 2012, so he's just given himself an early 18th birthday present. That's a pretty good move, really. A lad who only turned to road racing when he had his motocross bike stolen, so he decided to try road racing back in 2008, and it's turned out rather well for him. Chrissy Rouse, who was the Triumph Young Gun champion back last year, and has risen to be the Triumph Triple champion in 2013, and he can look forward to getting that present of a Triumph Daytona to campaign in the British Supersport Championship next season, and I think he could produce some pretty handy results there, just short, as I said, of his 18th birthday. So Chrissy Rouse, who contested the 2011 British 125 Championship, did 10 rounds, finished 15th in the championship before moving on to 4 strokes and being crowned champion here at Silverstone.
Just having a quick chat here in Parc Fermé, or the end of Parc Fermé, with Dan Hellier, our third place finisher. Dan, take us through your charge in those last few laps.
I didn't get a great start. I was stuck about 6th in the pack. I knew I had the pace from qualifying and practice on Friday. And I just see some gaps and I made my way through. There's a few guys made a few mistakes, but yeah, my fitness partner there. But yeah, there was gaps that came and I took advantage of it. So.
It was a great charge through, and another podium, of course. What's that, the 4th one of the year, something like that for you? Cracking performance from you. Going into Brands Hatch, what does this mean?
It's my local track, it's my favourite track. I'm looking good for the Cup Championship now, so I just need to put 2 good results together. Got to just say a big thanks to Littlewoods and SK Utilities and Mike Garnham, as always. Cheers.
Nicely done. Off you go to the podium. Well done. Our third place finisher there, Dan Hellier. And as he said, his local track is coming up next at Brands Hatch. Let's get our second place man, Freddie Pett, in here. Well, you pushed as hard as you could all the way, all through season, really. Just couldn't quite do it towards the end there. But cracking result for you today.
Yeah, I wanted that win real badly, but I knew I struggled with a bit of top end. All my elbows stuck out, and I was trying so hard to keep him behind me, and I didn't dare let it. It was such a hard race. I didn't look at my pit board once. I didn't have a clue what the gap was. I kept trying and pushing, and I knew from last year that Chrissy, he's quite cunning when it comes to slipstreaming and around here, so I thought I'd done it. I thought, last time he hadn't come by me yet. I thought maybe I've gapped him enough, but no, fair play to him. He's rode an awesome year this year, and he deserves to be champion, so yeah, I'm just glad to be back up here again and consistently being on the podium.
It's good to see you back up here, Freddie, and all credit to him. He did ride well, did Chrissy, but also so did you, and we'll let you go to the podium with your head held high.
Yeah, no, thank you, and I just want to say thank you to all my sponsors this year: Dale Sports, C&A Superbikes, Baker Bodycraft, HJC Helmets, Oxford Products, Silclean, Blue Chip Poker, and all my friends and family, Knox Armour, and everyone who's helped, so thank you.
Brilliant. You can't do that in a better way than another podium. Well done, Freddie.
Cheers, thank you.
There you go, Freddie Pett, our second place finisher. And now our newly crowned champion, Chrissy Rouse. How good does that feel, Chrissy?
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. It's a 2013 ambition was to win the championship, and to finally do it, it's all the weight off the shoulders, and just feeling absolutely over the moon.
Got to say, this is the most relaxed I've seen you all season. Talk us through the last few stages of that race, though, because really you did hang everything out, and perhaps you didn't need to.
Yeah, well, to be honest, like my dad, my whole team was saying, you know, I only had to, if Freddie won the race, I only had to finish 6th or 7th. I think it was 7th. But to be honest, I just wasn't interested in any of that. I've always thought it would be a dream to win the championship with a race win, and having a big lead like this is the great opportunity to do it. So just absolutely over the moon. My Stratstone Triumph was working superb, and just massive thank you to all my sponsors all season. It's been a fantastic year with the Triumph Triple Challenge, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting the brands, and then starting next year. That's the aim. You know, I need to get going next year and move up, and yeah, I'm just absolutely over the moon. I don't know what to say. Cheers.
We'll let you go to the podium. Well done. Bonnie Championship, Bonnie year.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
There we go, Chrissy Rouse. We'll let him go up to the podium, and whilst he's doing that, we're going to take the chance to take a short break. So you're back here at Silverstone for the three-wheelers. That's next.